going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is your Backlash preview with a little bit extra, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, my main man, my work husband, if I dare say?
Oh
Hopefully you're doing
my.
well, my friend.
I'm doing all right, you know. I sent you that graphic. Like, we've got 4 or 5 shows, if you count just WWE stuff, in the next 30 days.
That's what I said. There's something like 9 shows in the next 2 months, or 7 weeks, I think it is. So,
yeah, like throw in the TNA stuff, and every time somebody comes along and says, "Is it Double or Nothing that weekend too?" I'm like, "Nope,
yeah,
it's an illusion.
It's
an illusion."
Someone was trying to school me before in the comment section. I was cranky and bit. You know me, I'm usually not like a cantankerous troll. I was just being genuinely serious. I can see how my comment was taken sarcastically, but I was genuinely asking.
Because you've also got some self-awareness.
Yeah, I was like, the MJF things, I don't get it. What's the point of this? And I guess that he wants to be with the Hurt Syndicate so that they can go ahead and take out the, Death Riders for him so he can get the title. Why would they do that? What
I guess.
Yeah, like
I've got a much simpler example. They want their own bloodline, and they're casting MJF in the role of Sami Zayn, which doesn't work.
Yes.
I said it a while ago, like, oh, how dare people say that they copy WWE? Well, okay, they took the Hurt business from WWE, and now the Hurt business is doing Bloodline from WWE.
Yeah, I mean...
And I'm sorry, as much as I think MVP is a wonderful manager, great on the mic, whatever, all that, he's not Paul Heyman.
No, certainly not.
He's not. And that's not even an insult. That's just... Say what you see.
You're calling a spade, and
we're gonna get to Heyman's promo a little bit later on, but that was friggin' fantastic. All bulgy and tan. Him and Braun Breaker are going to the same tanning booth now. It's absolutely fine. Quick plug for myself, which sounds questionable. Tomorrow night we're going to be doing State of Wrestling, and it's pretty much all going to be about the whole WWE AAA stuff. So those of you that are hoping that fails like you hope the TNA thing fails, don't tune in tomorrow night. You, sir, because I don't plug you enough, you and Cody have a series going on over on your channel as well, and I momentarily forgot the name of it.
Oh,
I'm
Guilty or Guilt-Free. That's right.
There we go.
Sound effect not included, but... I went ahead and, we put John Cena on trial. The first week was The Rock, and it'll be a bi-weekly series. So every other Sunday you'll get one. And a lot of that is just lining up for the, one, this way we have enough time for like full-on research. But also there's so many shows coming up. Just a ton.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot of previews. Obviously, here's where I'm going to be pushing people from the live show so that they can go ahead and get our full, in-depth thoughts, analysis, predictions on Backlash. What's going to happen, why, how, who.
Oh, yeah.
My big question to you is, are we missing a match, or am I losing my mind?
Yeah, no. There's 2 as I said to you before we came on the air, let's be transparent about it. There's 2 matches that I thought were going to happen on this show and aren't. But I got to be a pain in the ass and a braggadocious bastard and take us on a detour for just a moment before we get into Backlash, because I'm not going to be watching Backlash live.
No, you're not.
I'm going to be in Toronto at the Mattamy Center, which is a name that I hate because really it's the old Maple Leaf Gardens, watching some Maple Leaf Pro, because I'm going to be there live for MLP Northern Rising, which is also happening this Saturday, unfortunately at the same time as Backlash. Also a good reason why I'm not going to be with you on Saturday night after Backlash, but we may have something for the folks out there on Sunday, depending on how schedules go.
Yeah, we're going to aim to do something Sunday night. It'll be fun. Absolutely. And this card is stacked. There are a lot of big names on it. Not like just big names, like for the sake of it. Like there's really good names here.
I said it to you as well, though. Like, not to say that nobody on this card isn't big, but I'm not struck by the bigness of this card. I'm more struck by the randomness of the wrestlers assembled.
Oh yes,
If that makes sense.
No, absolutely, because it's just we'll get into it. Like that
Everybody.
20-man is nuts. But
Yeah. Oh, we'll
having
get there.
Gresham and Zack Sabre like that, when I saw that
Pretty
announced,
sure.
I was
I'm pretty
like,
sure that's going to be the main event if it's not the Battle Royal. But like, just I know you've got Wiki up too, so we'll just do it that way because it's easy. Starting at the bottom, the Good Brothers. Good to see the Good Brothers taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs. I'm kind of familiar with Finley, not really familiar with Drilla Maloney. So thoughts?
I imagine the Good Brothers will win here. I think they're going to try and reinvigorate them a bit now that they're able to be healed and back into action. Carl Anderson was let go when he was injured. It's unfortunate when that happens, and they try not to. But what are you going to do? Keep somebody just because he's hurt? If you're planning on not using him again, I don't know. I feel like that's
It is one of the ones. And if you guys want my full thoughts on the most recent releases, I did quite a lengthy solo pod on the releases where I think a bunch of people might go. Got a little bit of a rant in at the end for those of you that like my rants. It is one of those ones where I'll give it a little bit of gray area to people that are bringing it up. It's like, oh, did you have to do it while he was injured? I don't really have a good answer for that. Like, don't keep people around if you're not going to use them. Let people go, especially people that want to go, Tony. But to let people go while they're injured, it's like, oh, well, they can go do whatever they want. Well, they can't right now.
Yeah, there's a difference if, like, I already prepaid for you, I gave you a fuck ton of money, and now you're not, like, but when it's like, hey, I don't want to be here, you can cut me.
You always hear on the other side of the coin as well. If you want a really good follow over on X, follow Jimmy Corderas because he's just doing random, like, here's what I think of this stuff on X and making all kinds of friends. But he mentions it every time you hear him in an interview or whatever, and he was I don't want to say just a referee, but he wasn't a wrestler. He was a referee. And still to this day, the WWE wellness team or whatever makes contact with him. How are you doing? Anything you need to, address or whatever. So, and Jimmy Corderas has been out of the game for a
while now.
So I have to imagine, even if they let him,
he's hilarious on Twitter, by the way. You were the one that, you brought his light onto my life, and it makes it shine, sir. He's friggin' hilarious. It's great.
And everyone's like, oh, he just dumps on AEW. No, he takes a good swing at WWE too. It's just WWE's giving them less to swing at these days. Try being better. Hey.
I mean, Raw was fantastic. No, not like top notch amazing, but like there was when I say fantastic, I don't mean like 10 out of 10, but I'm like, damn, that was good. Like that was fun. Like the
NXT
pacing
was better.
And NXT was much better. And I hate saying that because it sounds like the cliche thing from to the audience. You're like, oh, of course, Jake and Spaz love NXT. But really, this week's show...
Do you remember when that was everybody's take, though? Before there was AEW, and
NXT could do no wrong.
Didn't want to derail myself this way. Like, everybody wanted to say WWE was bad, because it was. And nobody... There wasn't an AEW to point to that was like, oh, WWE sucks, look how much better this is. So everybody tried really hard to pretend that NXT wasn't WWE. I was like, oh, NXT is so much better than WWE. I was like... No, within WWE, the better brand right now or the better show right now is NXT. Yeah. But you can't just...
But not always.
It's kind of like...
They've had some things that haven't worked, And
it's gone the other way as well, where AEW absorbed ROH, and people have their different views on that. I get it. And, WWE did the same thing with AAA, whatever the case may be, right? But you can't tell me at this point that ROH, that used to be its own entity, isn't just AEW light now.
Absolutely. There's nothing to it that even resembles
with no offense to anybody on the brand. I'm sure they're trying.
They have the pay-per-view coming up in the 2300, the Death Before Dishonor show. And
do they?
Yeah, they're doing a residency at the 2300.
Oh, I knew that. I didn't know they were doing a pay-per-view there, though.
Yes, they're going to do the Death Before Dishonor show on Friday, I believe.
I'm trying to think of who else has just recently done a really good show in the 2300. I'm just saying.
I made note of that on Twitter because I was like, not for nothing, but they're like, oh, and they had Taz, cut a good narration for their trailer for it, but it's still like they just did an homage and respect to, with NXT doing it for ECW.
With the Dudleys, and it was awesome.
That's what I'm saying. They did it weeks ago. It was great. Yep. Now, we have Taz.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how it works because I've never watched wrestling quite like this. I don't get the whole like residency, like we're gonna spend the whole summer in this building thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying I don't get it.
I don't
Like
get it either. I find it very weird.
TNA, you're gonna get like I'm going to Under Siege in a couple of weeks, and then they're gonna do a taping the next night. And so you're gonna see a couple of episodes of Impact from the CAA Center in Brampton, Ontario. I still can't believe that's a thing.
I know, right?
But it's not like they.
I actually looked up like it's not like you're in a small area. Not to take over really quick, but I was like, holy shit! Like you don't get a lot there, so to have it like really come to you guys is crazy.
Well, this is what I said. Like to spiral again. Like every time somebody says, "Oh, wrestling," or if you hear me say wrestling is in town, it means I'm going to Toronto. Like I'm going to Toronto for the Maple Leaf Pro Show, or at the very least, wrestling's in town. I'm going to Mississauga, which is right next to us, for like a Destiny show, or I think I've even been to an NXT house show in Mississauga, if I'm not mistaken. But like for me to say wrestling is in town and actually mean Brampton, like I thought it was a typo the first time I read it.
Like,
but if you look at
Toronto,
all
but no.
But but the funny thing is, if you look at the graphics, it even says Brampton, Ontario on the graphic, but the skyline in the graphic is the Toronto skyline. Like, what are you guys doing? Even when they announce it, when they're talking about it on TV, in Brampton, Ontario, in the Toronto area.
Yeah, like, see. Because people don't know where it is if you don't say Toronto.
It's true. Like, and I've been to I used to go to the States, right? Because like Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, like they're all relatively close, right? But it's like, okay, people know Toronto. I'll go to the States and people will know Toronto. I'll just say I'm near Toronto. And I'll say, oh, I'm from Brampton. And like, oh, you're near Mississauga. And then I forget that Mississauga is where Toronto Airport is.
Yeah. See, that would make sense. For me, I didn't know that. And I'm not like pretending that I did. I can point to Canada on the map. You're still from from Canada. Yeah, no, but I couldn't even tell you where any of the provinces or. Nope. You want me to show you where Toronto is? Is that the island? No, way off. All right, I'm fucked.
And the thing is, like for the most part, it would be the same for me in the States. And I like a lot of people are like, oh, Americans don't know anything about other than their own country, and I'm like, hi, neither do I.
And the United States is massive.
I'm not gonna mention it. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I used to go back and forth to Springfield to see somebody that I thought was a friend, and I'm like, okay, I know Springfield's near Boston, and I'm going to the Boston Garden for Survivor Series. I saw some Samoan on Samoan violence. It has to stop. But like, I couldn't tell you fuck all, really, realistically. So I think it's a really outdated
Imagine
thing.
having 50 Torontos, Spaz. That's essentially what we have. Not everyone is as big, but
yeah, but it is pretty cool. But like getting back to what I was saying, like the residency thing, like I can't imagine like doing shows like week after week after week after week in the same building and having an audience that's not burnt out. Whereas that's where I was going with it.
Yes.
TNA is going to have a couple of episodes from the CAA Center here in Brampton. Can't believe I'm saying it, but it's because they're going to film them over one weekend. It's not like they camped out here for the month.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's all one show. You know, you could leave at any point, but you have multiple episodes. That's what they're giving you. Mm-hmm. So not only
we're getting a pay-per-view and then we're getting the tapings the next day. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Exactly. So now you've got this like duality of like two different. You get the live aspect and then you got the taped aspect. And
but it's funny that Under Siege is really like a precursor to Battleground that's happening on the Sunday, because we have Trick and Joe who are having their title match at what's it called, Battleground.
Yeah,
and they're getting a precursor with it's really cool, man.
It's shaping up great.
We'll get to that when we get to that. That's going to be a hell of, because we're going to be predicting Battleground and Saturday night's main event and Under Siege, because those are the only things happening that weekend.
That's it. Nothing else.
Anyways, we got through one match on this card. We give Jonathan Gresham a lot of shit on this channel because he represents the Lollipop Guild, but he is a good wrestler, and I'm a shithead.
See, I've never been crazy about him, honestly. Like he kind of.
But you know what it is though? Like I don't get excited about seeing Jonathan Gresham. I don't, because you know, whatever. Like what's her name? Jordan Grace stows him safely in the overhead compartment. It's fine. But once it's there, it's kind of okay. Without the obvious thing, it's kind of like Benoit. Like there wasn't really much to say about Benoit, but once the match got going, you knew the match was going to be good.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And the last time, I'll tell you something, he's facing Zack Sabre Jr. The last time I saw Zack Sabre Jr. live was in the Don Koloff Arena, home of Destiny. Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's
there
fine.
We go.
For the last Impact pay-per-view before they became TNA again. And it was him and... Oh, I'm going to fuck this up. It was him and Josh Alexander taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, I think.
See? Yeah.
So that was really good. And the other funny thing about that is, you know who was sitting next to me for that entire main event?
Who's that?
Was the personal concierge.
Oh, really?
George Iceman.
That's hilarious.
So, like, I knew him because he used to run Destiny, and we would shoot the shit every once in a blue moon, right? But here I am with this guy who's now on Impact, who's just, like, there sat next to me, and we're shooting the shit through the whole main event. And it's like, oh, this is really cool, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, this is pretty fucking cool. And he's so, like, I've mentioned it before, and I've mentioned it at Destiny shows since he's come over to Impact. And every time I see him now, it's like, it's so fucking funny to see you play such a good asshole on TV because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's such a nice guy. Like when Impact used to do those like retro shows, they would run it like an indie show for the night, and everybody was a different character, and Josh Alexander was a lumberjack or some fucking bullshit, right? And Destiny basically tossed me a pair of tickets for that show. They're like, you're here a lot and you talk about us online a lot. Would you like a ticket to this weird retro show that we're hosting? I'm like, yes.
How cool is that?
Yes, I would. Saw Tessa Blanchard live.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving swiftly on. Jonathan Gresham, Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be really, really fun.
I'm thinking Sabre wins this one. I mean, they're going to be good matches.
I don't even have predictions for these. It's going to be fun, but like I don't have predictions.
I got Good Brothers. I got Sabre. I'm a betting man.
Yeah.
The next, who do you think, Gresham or Sabre? We're just picking.
I'll say Zack Sabre.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
This one you're gonna have to help me out with because we know who Speedball Mike Bailey is. I like Speedball. I've seen Gabe Kidd all of once in that match with Kenny Omega, and I have no idea who Michael Oku is.
I've only seen a little bit of him from Rev Pro, and I mean like very little. I want to say when he was champ, he beat Ospreay, and that was the match I saw. It was like Ospreay's last match, and that was his send-off, so Ospreay put him over. I've only seen like 2 or 3 matches, being completely honest, and I'm
gonna go with Speedball.
I'm
just cutting to the chase.
Yeah,
I know Speedball's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it, but again, it's a little bit of Destiny bias, and I like him. He's like a goofy, happy guy, and we need a few more of those in wrestling, if I can be quite honest with you. But also, like, it's not like he's not solid as fuck in the ring too. So I saw him sign his Impact contract in the middle of a Destiny ring. Check it out for your special.
Yeah, you were saying
it's
that.
Fine.
I forgot about that.
Josh Alexander, Speedball Mike Bailey, and who was the third one? Trent Seven. All signed their Impact / TNA contracts in a Destiny ring.
I remember you said that once before. Or a dozen, but I do remember.
Well, what's his name? Trent Seven was our champion for a bit.
Yeah.
Josh Alexander was our champion. Josh Alexander was becoming the guy in Destiny and working his way to becoming the champion just as I started going to the shows. When I started going to the shows, Pete Dunne was their champion.
Yeah, see, so
it's Pete Dunne versus Josh Alexander more than once.
Well,
in the front row. Lots of broken fingers.
I'm picking Mike Bailey because they're definitely going up. And speaking of broken fingers, I mean, you say his name, he does appear. Josh Alexander's taking on QT Marshall. I'm saying Alexander as well is going to win. This is like a AEW came to fuck up QT kind of match, right?
Maybe
Tony sending his new assassin.
There's a little bit of fun to this too because not quite the same way as Jonathan Gresham, but QT Marshall, like he plays a little bit of a goofball, right? But the guy's, again, it's another one of those, like, once the match actually starts, he is solid. And some people say, like, oh, just, if you're just saying he's just solid, that means because he's not great. But, like, you need solid people to make great people look great.
He's really good at making other people. He seems bland, but his selling is good so that he makes whoever he's in the ring. That was always his problem, I feel like. He didn't have charisma, but he was really technical. So what he could master was putting over other people. Yeah. And he managed to do that in an amazing way.
It's kind of not the same because Ziggler's got charisma of a different sort. But
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you get really good at making other people look good, and you're gonna spend your career making other people look good.
Eventually, you're
I
going to
mean,
get
even the stuff
squashed
with
by Goldberg. It's inevitable.
on the last MLP show, the stuff between him and Harley Cameron and Bully Ray was fucking hilarious. And Harley Cameron is Harley Cameron, but you know,
She's
every
very
comedy group
funny.
needs a straight guy. She's really good.
She's so
Like,
talented. It's unreal.
and I'm not saying this just because I'm not saying this like I normally would, just as a, oh, we need to steal another one from AEW. But like, doesn't she scream NXT to you?
Oh, absolutely. And
Like,
they would like the Muppet Monet and all that. NXT
yeah.
would have sold out of those in a minute. Like that. I cannot. They
You know what
have
they would no, you
somebody
know what they would have done by
online
now?
making them themselves, and they're selling hundreds of them.
Know what they would have done by now? If she was doing Puppet Monet in WWE, they would have had a backstage skip by now where she's getting advice from like Mick Foley and Al Snow, and there's Socko and Head. And you would have had
Yeah,
Socko and Head and Puppet Monet, and there would have been a funny thing.
that
And
is such.
the people out there that don't like fun would have hated it. It's like the people that got mad about like, you know, Donald Trump is the new pope.
Yes, but he
The
did
meme
hold a
on there.
red lightsaber, so I mean,
And he just sits there's like, well, the only people that are upset are the people that can't take a joke. Very sad.
Did you see he had MS-13 on his knuckles? Sad
Oh,
day.
fuck's sake.
Sad day
Anyways,
indeed.
Alexander's gonna beat Marshall.
Yeah, no doubt
I
about
would
it.
almost love there to be like an upset here because it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Stu Grayson versus another person I'm not too familiar with, Tom Latimer or
Yeah.
Thom Latimer. No
I
idea.
do not know who that is, honestly. He's the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. So
Very nice.
I'm being honest with you. He's been around for a bit now. He's 38.
Don't know anything about
He was
NWA,
married
not
to
gonna lie.
Charlotte Flair from 2013
Oh,
to 2015. That's why I remember his name.
all
Thomas
right then.
Raymond Latimer.
Yeah. He clearly didn't bow down to the queen. Let's go with
No.
Stu Grayson for reasons.
Yeah, I like Stu. He was always really another one of those technical guys that got other people over. So Dark
Gonna
Order
lie,
did a
like
lot of that.
the whole like Dark Order with all the creepers and whatever and adding extra members and whatever. But like I did before they like sort of it seems like they've made their exit. I did like Grayson and Uno as a tag team. Like they're not gonna set the world on fire, but they're good. They're fun. They're not the Bucks. It's
They
fine.
had so much potential with that group after Brody died. They had that amazing tribute show, and then they never followed up with anything for any one of them. They just were like,
Mm.
you guys are.
And
back
then
to
Alan
being
Angels went
jobbers.
over to TNA, and I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's sort of fallen by the wayside in TNA. So nobody's perfect.
Speaking of AEW's women's division, Serena
Serena
Deeb.
Deeb
Yeah,
versus Miyu Yamashita. I'm assuming technical. This will be like the technical. The technical.
I thought it was
Oh
Miyu you
my!
shit. Am I been saying that wrong this whole time?
No. Konosuke take a shitta.
That's what I'm saying. I thought this was their cousin. You shit
But
and take a shit.
oh dear. I don't know. I like Serena.
I'm gonna
Again,
pick Serena Deeb. I don't know the other
Serena
girl.
Deeb. Yeah, I'm guilty of saying this a lot. Like, they're solid. They're solid. They're solid. Right. But like, I'm just thinking like 10 years ago, if I went to an indie show, I wouldn't know anybody there. Now you go to indie shows and there's people that I know. A small pat on the back for me because yeah, I'm tired.
So the you shit girl is from Kamafuku, and she went ahead and is from the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling Federation.
Because she's been on AEW as well.
She's been in Ring of Honor since 2023. She fought Athena and lost.
Oh. Okay.
On
Fair.
their weekly show. So that's what
at least Athena's winning somewhere. Yeah. Serena Deeb for the win. The one that I think is going to be more like, okay, technical match and then fun match. Giselle Shaw versus Kylie Ray could be really fun.
Yeah.
And it's the tournament final. I haven't been paying enough attention to this, admittedly. But it's the tournament final to crown the MLP Women's Canadian Champion.
Yeah, because
that's a long ass title.
That's a huge one. I remember her being Azteca briefly, like when she was.
Who's that?
Giselle Shaw.
Okay,
that was like an early moniker of hers. And
I remember her. She was the quintessential diva in Impact.
Yes.
And then that was when she was a heel. Like, it was obviously like a played up heel character, like playing up on the old diva tropes. It's like kind of like what I say about Tiffany Stratton, in the sense of we've gotten so far away from the diva era that diva can now be a gimmick.
Yeah.
Giselle Shaw did a very similar thing in Impact. And then when it turned over into TNA and she came back as kind of a babyface, she was the quintessential knockout.
I just remember
And she's
seeing her being like the Pearl of the Philippines or some stuff. She was doing that with
okay.
Azteca and WoW when they brought it back in 2019. I remember watching that briefly to cover it, and I was like, nah, not for me. But I think Giselle Shaw is going to win because Kylie Rae's not going to show up.
Oh dear. Oh. I don't know. Kylie Rae.
I know she had some mental health air quote things, but there's how many times she did it to AEW, she did it to Impact, she did it to a few independent scenes where she didn't show, and then she later didn't show. They said the split was very amicable, but then she didn't show, and then and it's like,
I think it's really funny, Kylie Rae being here because she's the only one
WWE
on the
ID.
She's the only one in this whole card that has a direct connection to like it's WWE ID.
Yeah,
and
but
she's
still
on like Evolve and stuff like that. But like as you say, you mentioned it earlier, like it's not all AEW, but there's a very heavy AEW contingent on here. Yeah, I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go Kylie Rae. Give us a win for WWE. Nothing against Giselle Shaw. I do think they could even do something where you do these two matches back to back. Like, here's your technical, we're trying for 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome brother match.
Yeah.
And then you follow it up with the fun match with the characters and the charisma and all that kind of thing. And the pomp and circumstance of like creating a new championship is always fun.
Yeah, and I mean, you got one from the Philippines, the other one's from Illinois. Let's make one of them the Canadian champion.
Well, yeah, we'll just create a new place called Phillinois.
Yeah, the 51st state. Yeah.
Oh.
And then, sir, I'll let you run the gauntlet of names through this 20-man gauntlet
be Alberta.
match.
Don't. Let's not talk about that.
Oh, no.
Okay, listen to and I don't know all of them, but the majority of them. PCO, let's give him a belt.
Right.
Rhino.
Just no hammer.
He's gonna be on Dynamite tonight.
Yeah, because they're pumping the 2300 thing. I thought that's why I said it feels like such a
weird thing. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not like they can't. Do
I
ECW.
Give credit.
Yeah,
I kind of got to give credit to Rhino a little bit in the sense of like he's he's not grabbing a headline, he's not grabbing a title match, but like because of that
paycheck.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
No, in the most literal sense, but he shows up everywhere.
Absolutely.
Like, he shows up on TNA every now and then. He'll show up on NXT because he showed up at NXT for the 2300 show. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in WWE at some point, or if he showed up in AAA. It would be hilarious to see him go, like, find a luchador with a bull gimmick, like find another El Torito or whatever, and have him gore the bull. That'd be fantastic. Show up in AEW, show up in ROH for the 2300 shows, Like, if you're kind of quiet and off in the corner and doing your own thing and you can kind of show up wherever, that's kind of a cool place to be.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah. I mean,
PCO, Rhino, also PCO and Rhino both being in this is funny because they were kind of like a loose tag team for a little bit before they both left TNA. Billy Gunn is in here. El Phantasmo's in there. Raj Desi is in here. QT Marshall is also listed in the Battle Royal, but I don't know if they pulled him from the Battle Royal to put him in the Alexander match or not. I'm not 100% sure on that. Rich Swann is in there, which is cool. Psycho Mike, sure. Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin,
I'm
is
excited
in there.
to see how this turns out with him. So
100%.
He's the one I'm pulling for here. I would pick him to win this.
Yes. Of course. Sheldon Jean, Bhupinder Gujjar,
Benjamin Shelton. Did you say Benjamin Shelton?
Oh, fuck me. Fuck me. Tony Khan said, you know what? We need a headline. We can't tell you to go out there and say Orange Man bad, so we'll do the wrestling version of that and say Red and Yellow Man bad. Fuck off. Do you know how many people have said my name wrong in my life? Like, if I could make money in headlines every time somebody said my name wrong, like, Shelton Benjamin, fuck off, man. Like, you're clearly riding MVP and Bobby Lashley's coattails through another company.
At least he mentioned your name, even if he got it wrong. Like, he's 70-something.
It's
He's
so
been beaten.
bad.
He's so old, and he's a constant liar. But he didn't say anything bad about you. He's putting you over. He's just got your name backwards. Like, he wasn't being vitriolic and being like, "Oh, that guy."
Oh, he didn't give me the type of apology that I wanted.
He literally put. Who did he compare them to? Brock Lesnar and fucking Kurt Angle. And Shelton Benjamin's like, "Take my name out your fucking mouth." You know, the Will Smith.
And he quoted Will Smith because, you know, quoting like weird violent dude from random award show really makes you look like the good guy in the scenario.
Yeah,
yes,
his freak
everybody
out
out there.
That's how you want to portray yourself.
If you're wondering, Will Smith is the bad guy. Eat shit.
I still can't believe they let him get his award on stage after like that.
Yes, you can. You know why, and we don't have to go there. Bhupinder Gujjar, Josh Alexander, if he's still in it, Johnny Parisi, not quite sure who that is.
The name sounds familiar. Because what was the other gimmick?
Joseph Dorgan. Johnny Swinger.
Yes.
He's Johnny Swinger.
Johnny Paradise.
I don't know whether this is one name or two, but Michael Allen Richard Clark doesn't even have a link for me to click on.
No.
Alex Zane is one of those guys that not much to write home about, but he's fun when he shows up. He's been in Destiny quite a bit as well. Mo Jabari, no idea. Rohan Raja, no idea. Brett Banks, no idea. I'm excited. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. El Reverso is a guy who's also been in TNA quite a bit. He is the quintessential, like, skinny white guy dweeb.
Yes.
Except he's got a mask on. And he doesn't have any moves. All his moves are reverses.
You have to see this guy. I sent you a link on the Discord screen. I don't know if you can click it, but it is. He looks like a knockoff LA Knight. Like he's trying to be LA Knight.
Who's that?
This is the one and only unclickable Michael Allen Richard Clark.
Okay.
He just looks like either every generic creator wrestler but he doesn't even have a wiki you could click on, poor guy. Somebody's got to make this man a Wikipedia.
Wiki. Anyways, but yes, so there's that. El Reverso I'm excited about. Literally, I saw him unmasked in Destiny, but he's masked again, so meh, it is what it is. And Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
El Reverso. I want to see El Reverso take out Matt Cardona. I want to see Matt Cardona go for the woo kick and get it reversed into something. I don't think El Reverso is going to win the MLP inaugural Canadian Championship. Like we said, I really want that to go to Baron Corbin.
I do too. Bishop Dyer needs it, but no, like you just said,
what we really need is two Americans to win the two inaugural Canadian championships.
Fucking El Reverso, you had one job. You're supposed to walk backward.
No, he's actually really good, really entertaining.
I know.
I know he plays, but like because all he does is reverses. I've only seen him in matches with like really big dudes.
Yeah.
So it's all. So he does the under. Like if you don't know who he is, and I didn't know who he was at first, obviously, he's really good at the underdog. Get you on his side really quick psychology.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. It'll be a good gauntlet. If it's for the Canadian Championship, I picture it as the main event, but it's really like unless it's the Royal Rumble, it's really weird to consider a battle royal.
Well, it's a gauntlet, they said.
Oh, I read that completely wrong because I'm an idiot. Maybe it is the main event.
Yeah, because they're
20-person gauntlet is going to take a long ass time too.
I bet you it'll be quick. I bet you they're just going to fly through people.
El Reverso gets in there as entrant number one and just reverses everybody. Anyways, so that's MLP Northern Rising. Unless you're interested in Canadian indie stuff, you probably didn't care about any of that, but you can catch it on Triller if you're interested. If you're not particularly interested in tuning in for Backlash, which is happening at the same time. So switching gears to Backlash, and of course, let's talk about the two things that I thought were happening on Backlash that aren't.
Yes, back to our original. Way to bring it back, my friend. Kudos.
Jay versus Logan Paul and Rollins Breaker versus Sammy and Punk.
Yeah.
Looks like it's a thing.
I from what
Are
I
they
was
building
told,
this as a trios match?
from what I was told, eventually it will be. So they'll have Roman, and I guess they're going to grab somebody else. But from what I was reading, and you don't know how much is like fantasy booking, because
Yeah.
nowadays everybody on Twitter is suddenly a wrestling journalist and insider,
Yep.
and they just spout what they think will happen, and then it gets reported and it gets crazy. So
Yep.
I'm not going, nuts about it, but I mean, things that should be celebrated, like Joe Hendry defending his title at Battleground. That's incredible, instead we have to argue over silly nonsense, and it drives me nuts that it should, wrestling's fun right now. People should be enjoying themselves. It's supposed to be just a time of, well, during the layoffs is never great, but
Yeah.
but these people are it wasn't like in 2020 when we had COVID and people got let go and there was nowhere for them to go. If they didn't have
Exactly.
GoFundMe's, they were screwed. Like, these things needed to happen. Okay, it's a business decision. Fine. You guys can go on just autograph signings and make your money. Like, there is that loop to do now. And you can,
Mm-hmm.
but we talked about the releases briefly, you and I, and there wasn't like any specific reason they gave for most of them. Everybody was pretty much just like, hey, this is what happened. I know Meltzer got called out for basically saying that some of the NXT talent were let go for being lazy, and
Yeah,
Gigi
because
went
that's
after
it.
him. Priscilla Kelly, I would love
Yep.
to see her bring back her tampon gimmick with Meltzer,
I went over all this in a pod already. I'm
Yes,
pretty sure Gigi's going to go over to TNA,
it seems
and
like
they
it.
they, they could go with 2 feet on it. Like they could just have Gigi be like the new third member of the Rascals. Like I think
Imagine.
there's some fun to be had there. A
That would
couple
be
of other
nuts.
people. I actually said like whatever we think of AEW, like they love a good monster mash every now and then. So guys like Strowman, guys like the guys in Gallus, um, take your shot over at AEW. See what they do with you,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
with guys like Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu and all that, we've shown if nothing else, Braun Strowman can make other monsters. So
Eh,
send
eh,
them over there to work with, like, I don't know, Keith Lee or Archer or Powerhouse Hobbs or
Is
somebody
Keith
like
Lee
like
alive still? I don't mean like
I
we haven't
I
heard from
I
him
know
or
you're
his
not even
camp.
saying that as a man, but yeah.
Yeah, like it's been so dead silent on the front of Keith Lee for ages
As far as
now.
I know, he's
So
still on the roster. You know who's apparently not on the roster anymore in AEW is the Righteous.
yeah, and Karrion Cross made a plea for them to be brought into WWE.
Nice.
And
Nice.
through my former co-host, I went ahead and was personally talking to Vincent for a bit, and
Nice.
he's a great guy, and he reminds me of Rob Zombie out and out, not just because of the look
Yeah.
but because of his artistic visions that he has. Like, he was trying to turn things into cinema before that term was being thrown around. Like, he was
Yeah.
threading a narrative through his matches that were telling a very deep story where there was lore to
Kind of like
things.
NXT Bray Wyatt.
Yes, there was lore. People were finding out little bits each week, and the more it revealed, the
Yep.
more it captured people.
I think it's funny that like all the stuff that they did with Bray Wyatt on the main roster and all Bray Wyatt had to do in NXT was like walk out on stage dragging that rocking chair behind him.
And that was enough,
Fuck, that guy was good, man. Jesus
right?
Christ.
So, I mean, I
Anyways,
think that big match, the 6-man, or if they don't, or the tag, from what I heard, the tag was supposed to be Saturday night's main event. Main event.
that's cool, yeah.
And then
Um,
this, if they do the 6-man or a one-on-one, because supposedly Rollins will have the belt by SummerSlam. If this news is credible, I don't know, but he would have the belt, and then he would go defend it against Punk or Roman,
okay.
because they're
We
trying
we kind
to
of like to
really
see
build
if
up
they're putting, because
SummerSlam.
they're already announcing John Cena as being part of Saturday Night's main event. I don't know how you get there because they're on 2 different shows and sometimes they care about stuff like that. Cena Sammy is a match I want to see.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, Sami Zayn's first match on the main roster was answering the John Cena U.S. title open challenge, and he threw out his shoulder.
Yes, that's right.
There's a little bit of a come around there, like, yeah, Sami Zayn fucked up his arm raising the roof. I'm an asshole.
No, but
It's fine.
it was so funny though, and then it was so heartbreaking because he went ahead and
Yeah.
tried so hard, and he just tried a little too hard. Put a little bit
Yeah.
too much mustard into it.
I remember like in the early days of NXT, they were trying to, what was it, take over Fatal 4-Way. And they just had randomly out of nowhere and nobody knew what was going on. They just threw up the yellow logo on Monday Night Raw, and it was like Tyson Kidd and Neville versus, oh, who was it? The other two people that were in the 4-Way. It was like Tyler Breeze and I think Sami Zayn. And they had a random
I
NXT.
don't remember, but
Yeah. Oh, it's ages ago. The only reason
yeah.
I remember it is because I did NXT Rewind, and they had done that Raw the week before the
That's
pay-per-view.
right.
And it was like this is when takeovers were still happening at Full Sail on a Wednesday. But it was just like an elevated episode, as we would call it today. But I was just like, I remember NXT, never mind somebody coming over from TNA, never mind somebody coming over from AAA, never mind somebody coming over from, Noah or Bloodsport or anybody like that. That was back in the day where somebody showing up from NXT was surprising.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was really tight back then. But yeah, the Jey Uso Logan Paul thing is gonna happen. It has to. Sammy getting lumped in with this Seth Rollins Braun Breaker stuff along with Punk seems like they're detouring away from Roman, because obviously Roman's part-time basically now. But it's Sammy's got to have a match with Seth at some point. I'm pretty sure Punk has flat out said he wants to work with Breaker and with Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
So one of those matches is going to happen eventually.
Well, the Breaker match is supposed to happen before he gets to Seth for the title, I guess, is like the play.
I would assume so, yeah.
Which I'm all for. I'm loving Braun Breaker in this role. It was so exciting seeing, like, Sammy was like you said, not the ultimate babyface, and Punk was the real savior, but it makes sense for Sammy's character to still go out there and try and help his friend.
Yeah.
Punk being the equalizer with the chair was great. They gave you a very exciting ending, and I am looking forward to seeing where they go with this, because
And WWE did what I've been saying for years. And I know when you've got big name people and you want to hype up the show for next week, it's like, Cody Rhodes will be back next week on SmackDown. John Cena is gonna be on Raw. We're gonna hear from CM Punk after what happened to him at whatever, right? The fact that nobody mentioned CM Punk,
I love it.
Made that pop at the end of the night.
That's exactly it. You nailed it. We had no inclination that he was there, and that's the things I missed. That I really appreciate with this current regime is that they're keeping their mouths shut. So a lot of the stuff you hear
It's
get
true.
out is what they want out. Because Triple H said it early on. He said this recently over WrestleMania weekend, but he said when he first got into the position, everything was getting out, and he would have like long. I think something happened where they revealed Alexa was going to work with Bray, and that's close to when Triple H started to like get into that role more, and then eventually took over for Vince a few years later.
Yeah.
But still, it was just like all these big events getting out, so he really found ways to find out who was getting stuff out. He
there was
let
a
out fake
conversation.
news and saw who was posting it, so he basically got them terminated. But it's funny,
There was a conversation that happened, and this is not a dig at AEW. It just is a conversation that happened around the time AEW started. In the early days of Dynamite, you would have, what's his name? Fucker in the mask. Excalibur. There we go.
Yes.
Right before the main event, he would be giving himself a heart attack, running down everything that you were going to see next week, right?
Yeah, he would do it in 9 seconds.
He would do it in 9 seconds, but it would also he would tell you the whole card. This is everything you're going to see next week. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Give me one or two things. Give me one or two highlights. Oh, we've been doing this tournament for a month now, and the final is going to be next week or something like that.
Or the fight tonight will lead to the main event next week. Something like that.
Exactly. Something like that. Something progressive, right?
Like NXT gave us 3 announced matches, but then all of a sudden, day of, they give you one more, or but they also tease some story things.
Out of that, we got the whole, impromptu matches are bad. Why? You tuned in for a show, now you got a surprise match.
Oh, they didn't get to advertise it. Those people went nuts. And people on Twitter turned on Jay in a second. As soon as that match was announced, oh, this was a short title reign. Oh, so much for him being the like all this stuff. They
But
just
here's the thing,
went
though, right? And
nuts.
here's where I have to be careful because we're in this community, we're in these conversations and whatever, right? The only people that would be demanding, I want the full card of what's happening on Monday Night Raw before we see Monday Night Raw, is people that are trying to get out a preview and want to get clicks on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Other than that, there is no reason at all. Don't go in blind. I'm not saying that either. But there's no reason you need to know everything, like an entire 3-hour layout of a show before it even happens. Pay-per-view is different. Pay-per-view is different. We have our 5 matches for Backlash tonight, right?
Yes.
But week to week, what you're saying is don't give us any surprises. And then you're going to complain that the show is boring.
Yeah, so
I don't get
sense.
this. I don't get where this whole like we need to know everything ahead of time and I'm not talking about spoilers and dirt sheet stuff. I'm talking about like what the company actually gives you like the week out or whatever. And the other, because they cling to that so much now because it was an AEW like trope for the longest time, to back that up, they kind of came up with this idea that impromptu matches are bad. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
why?
Exactly.
Somebody's going to call out somebody. I'd rather have that than tune in next week when Sting will speak. Okay. Anyways, lots and lots of tangents and rants this evening. But yeah, those matches
but all
are going to happen.
So, you know, it really, honestly, deservedly so.
But getting back to what I was saying, both matches, I thought we were going to get that weird tag. I thought we were going to get the Jay versus Logan Paul. But we'll get that at some point. But it is
people thought the match was canceled because Seth was winning the title then too, because that was another. They're like, it's not on the Backlash card anymore, and I was like, I said to you earlier, I'm like, I thought it was, and it wasn't, and it was confusing, but we made it through. This card though is excellent. I feel like
I would almost rather them like hype up a special episode of Raw. Like they don't do a whole lot of the like themed Raws anymore. Like there's an anniversary show or there's a Raw roulette or something.
Where AEW does one every week. Yeah, they haven't done that in forever.
But if they were going to do a specific, like if we were coming up to like the 20,000th episode of Raw, like anniversary something or other, like something that made it a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Then you save the Jay Logan Paul thing for that episode of Raw.
Exactly.
Because it feels like a good Raw match, and it feels like a good, oh my God, why is that guy going to get a title shot? I hate that guy, blah, 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 blah. But you're going to watch the match, aren't you? Well,
Exactly.
Anyways, it's going to happen eventually, but we're going to get that 3-on-3 match, and it's going to be weird.
It's going to be interesting.
At some point in that 3-on-3 match, you're going to see a square off between Logan Paul and CM Punk.
All right, so if we have, think about this though, if we get forget even just the 3-on-3, but if we get those 3 teaming together, they have to do a Shield entrance, right? With
Which 3?
Roman's side, with him.
You mean
Punk.
Rollins?
No. Roman, if he teams with Punk to do, later.
No,
on.
I'm saying Punk, Jay, Sammy.
Oh, I originally I was doing the big main event of they want to do Punk and Roman taking on Sam.
Right, but right
Seth
right now, Punk is getting involved in this.
Yes, I got
and Breaker stuff. Yeah, sorry, brought you back around. Yeah,
exactly. You saved my tired brain.
Jay's there because he's feuding with Logan, I guess.
No, so that 6-man is interesting too because they could you got the 3 of them. You could do a lot with this. So
I would love to see. You know what the piss take would be, because the last person to come out to a Shield entrance was Rollins to fuck with Roman.
Yes,
Roman, who's been in the quote unquote family with Sammy, in the literal family with Jay, and has worked with Punk on at least one occasion. Wouldn't it fuck with Seth Rollins' head if the opponents, if Jay, Punk, and Sammy came out to a Shield entrance?
See, that's what I was trying to say, but this is why I love you, because you literally just enunciated on what my tired brain.
Got back around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You saved
man.
me.
I got you.
I'm glad you understood my point, because I'm like, wouldn't that fuck with Seth if Roman had the Shield with the Punk and so It reminds me when they
I
did it
just
with
think it's
Kurt.
funny. I just think it's funny with Jay, Sammy, and Punk because none of them were in the Shield.
Exactly. So, I mean, Kurt
And I
Angle
mean, they've
wasn't
all.
either, and neither was Triple H, and who else was in
Yeah,
the
well.
temporary Shield at a few points
Oh
too?
my God, that was the same night that we didn't get Bray Wyatt, so we just got Finn Balor and AJ Styles having a Bullet
Yep,
Club match, and apparently they got fined for doing the Too Sweet. That's weird. It's a different era.
it is indeed.
Very,
It's
very, very different era.
many moons
But
ago, my friend.
a couple weeks ago, we talked about this show, and we talked about what it had to accomplish, and like what really is a B show in this era. Because you normally it would be like an international show at this point. This is a very good B show.
Absolutely,
There's a
the
lot of
hate around this has been
it's been
unprecedented, and
yeah.
such a wasted effort of people to shit on this. Do they think every card is going to be WrestleMania caliber? And essentially, it kind of is, because it's the last match of John Cena and Randy Orton from their quote
Yep.
unquote 25-year storied history.
But the thing about it is though, right? And I get it, and we it's kind of a disposable show, like they're doing some stuff on it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's kind of disposable in the way of like it's the spaces in between. It's not quite Money in the Bank. We're
No.
looking forward to the AAA stuff. It's kind of a filler, even though it's better than a filler, right?
Because it's
But the
advancing other
people,
stories, though. That's the
of
thing
course,
here.
it's a building block. It's the same as we would say about like there might be not this week, but there might be a boring week of NXT, but they moved a lot of pieces around the board. They did some building,
Yeah, no,
that kind of thing.
Exactly. But see, with like AEW lost sight of that a long time ago, where they would have like Revolution. Oh, okay, but they hold off the big matches either for Double or Nothing, All In. That kind of,
Mm.
like not that WWE doesn't save
But
stuff for Mania.
my problem is as well as what you said is like it's not WrestleMania and everybody's upset about it, but the way the people are acting about this, the people that want to shit on it, obviously. They're acting as if guys like you and me are telling them, "Hey, get amped up. This is another WrestleMania,"
Yeah.
and we're not.
Or we're
I'm
telling
going
them
in
that then don't watch. Like that's neither of. I've seen both of those sentiments.
I'll be realistic. I don't from a blockbuster point of view, I don't have high expectations, or I guess I should say I don't have high standards for this show.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be sort of by the numbers, maybe one or two surprises as we're going to get into. I don't think the earth is going to be shattered on this night on Saturday, which
No.
is really good because I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be watching the Northern Rising show in the Maple Leaf Gardens.
But
it's fine.
I don't think it's gonna like nothing. It's not like, oh, there's gonna be another event on the level of John Cena turning heel. No, certainly not. But I think it's
No.
gonna be really good.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. That happened at Elimination Chamber, which was A, in a stadium, and B, they're treating it with the same level of auspice as Money in the Bank gets now.
Mm-hmm.
And that does make Elimination Chamber a more elevated show. Elimination Chamber is not a B pay-per-view anymore.
No, but they're doing
It's
this
part
in
of
St.
the road
Louis.
to WrestleMania.
So
they're doing it in St. Louis. They're going to get the Randy Orton pop. They're going to pause extra long for people to sing his song and do all the things. And yes, when we're going to get to the John Cena Randy Orton match. Yes, it's going to be and then the bell rang. I get that. I don't care. That's not what it's there for. But shall we start at the bottom? Shall we start at the beginning where most things begin? Dominic Mysterio.
You don't want to start
versus
at the end. You don't want dessert before your meal.
I'm not going to turn that into a bad joke. I promise.
Before
Dominic
you start with this
Mysterio.
card, really quickly, I wanted to bring this up before.
Sure.
So they have a Friday SmackDown watch party. So you sit at Busch Stadium, home of the St. Louis Cardinals, and
Okay.
Penta and Lyra. You're not watching SmackDown in front of you. You're watching it on a screen.
Okay.
And Penta and Lyra are going to show up to like say hi to people. I don't know if you interact with them or not. $350 a ticket.
I will say, you saw what Culture did at WrestleMania.
Yeah, with their watch-alongs and
they did all the stuff. They rented out a arena, with a big ass screen and had a big group watch along. And I would go to that.
But they didn't charge $350 a ticket. Yeah. Oh well, it comes in.
Yeah.
You watch SmackDown on the scoreboard, all inclusive food and beverages. Like,
I would eat
So
everything in sight.
yeah,
Pause.
I if only I could anymore. Like, but
Yeah.
seeing stuff like that
Oh,
just
it's stupid. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, 3 tickets at Backlash in St. Louis is $1,250 for
Okay.
not even this guy is in section 109. He's not even on the damn floor.
Hmm. Should have got nosebleeds. Anyways, um, no, but it's one of those things where it's like it's a weird, cool experience, and you're going for that. And if you've got the money to do it, then cool. I don't have the money to do it, therefore I'm not considering doing it. Like, I paid more than I should have for my Elimination Chamber ticket, but you know what? I had a good fucking time, and they put the chamber in the dome. Uh, um,
In the dome.
okay, Intercontinental Championship match. Penta versus the most over guy at WrestleMania, Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, this is gonna be a hell of a lot of fun regardless. I personally don't see Dom losing yet. They're gonna tell the
No.
story of him and Finn. Basically, next week on Raw, they're gonna have Finn facing Penta first, and I gotta take out your problem. And then they're gonna go ahead from there, and it's just gonna keep grating on him and grating on him. And I remember they said at what pay-per-view he was supposed to turn. They basically like let it leak at one
Yeah.
point. It was something coming up, and I don't know, but
See, my thing is because Dominic Mysterio with the title is weird, but also like it happened on the perfect night where all the crowd was behind him, and it was a really feel good thing. And if you've been watching Dominic Mysterio since Eddie and Ray were fighting over him, then it's kind of a really cool thing. It's like I mentioned it the other week. The Izzy, the Bailey super fan from
yes,
back in the day,
her
now
see where
has a
she's gonna
WWE.
go.
Yeah, now she has a WWE ID contract.
How cool is that? And
Like, that's
I
a
did
cool
find that
thing.
information. WWE Backlash, as of just a few days ago, they're set up for 16,640, and I think they
Yeah.
had 300 tickets left to go.
Jesus.
So good
And I mean,
on them for that.
that's not huge by WWE standards, but that's still a lot of fucking people.
Yeah, and Dynamite is this upcoming Wednesday tonight. It's live right now. Only
Yep.
had 2,822 people, and that's in Detroit,
Okay,
Michigan.
we gotta stop picking on Dynamite. We're
I'm
kicking a
just
dead
saying
dog at
though,
this
like,
point.
oh,
I know
that's
it's eight
Dynamite, and
times.
that's
It's
Dynamite, and
eight times.
that's not a a PLE. All right, well, Forbidden Door is only at 11,623 right now, and that's so it's like
I'm just saying. I think the
you
last
and I
TNA show
have
got more than that.
avoided speaking of pretty much all TV ratings. We just ignore the
Yeah.
numbers at this point. Like we'll make comments if something's kind of crazy or something happens,
If
but
something swings drastically, yeah.
yeah. And that's what happened with AEW at that point, where they got that huge rating. It was like 700 and something thousand, 707,000 last
They
week
were
on
saying it's the
Collision.
night we beat NXT.
Yeah, they were going nuts about it. Well, this week, no NBA massive lead in, and they got 341,000 for their average,
For
and
Dynamite.
for Collision on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Dynamite, I think, got 568 this week. If I'm
What did I hear? Like, they're not whatever station Collision is on. Like, it's not gonna have the definitive Saturday spot anymore. The show's
yeah,
kind of gonna float,
it's going to go back and
the
forth between TBS and TNT now because of sports. Yeah,
yeah, no, but
and the
I've heard
Avengers
like
movie.
yeah, not even on the same night though. Like they're literally gonna float the show around and
Yes.
stick it wherever they feel like because anything else is gonna get them more ratings. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
It
they
doesn't
said
even
playing that old Avengers movie, not old, but the most recent one that they have the rights to.
yeah.
I think it was the last one there, Endgame or whatever, and
Yeah.
playing that got more ratings than Collision. And I'm not trying to shit on them. Like you and I have both gone to Collision early on when it started. We were
Yep.
excited for it for what Punk
Well,
was
when
going to
it
try
I,
and.
I went when it was Punk's Collision,
That's what.
which
So
is
did
now
I. So did I.
NXT.
I was there when he spray painted the belt. Like got that
They
X
put the
on
paint
there
on the belt.
in the dome. But yes, back to the Backlash. I just wanted to bring up the
Give them the
Backlash.
belt and let them beat everybody. I think it's so funny that like, oh, all the ones from Punk's version of Collision are now in NXT. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Now,
So a great wrestling mind like Punk handpicked this guy and this guy and this guy, and those handpicked guys would rather be in WWE. Eat a dick.
he's got all of them,
Anyways,
just about. Aleister Black, Rusev, Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, list goes on. So with this
Phoenix
match,
Penta.
yes, those two. I think Penta's losing, but not by Dominic's direct hand. I think El Grande Americano is going to do a run-in and screw over Sir Penta.
I really need, because a lot of people are upset about Penta using the Mexican Destroyer because it's the Canadian Destroyer. You can't just rename it because you're from a different place, blah, 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 blah.
He always did that move, and they called it the Canadian Destroyer back then, so it's only WWE changing the script.
But it's one of those things where it's like, why do you care, first of all, right?
Exactly.
But because they're getting mad about things being renamed, right? I really need El Grande Americano to start doing the Destroyer so they can call it the Destroyer of America.
Oh, that would be grand.
They tell me it's the best Destroyer. It's fantastic. I would never say that. That's what they tell me.
He had gang tattoos on his eyeballs. Speaking of
El
gang
Grande
tattoos,
Americano. El Grande Americano has just been announced as the new Pope. Very fantastic.
LA Knight.
It was a fair and honest election. Conclave.
He went ahead and lost his belt at Mania, so now the new champion, Jacob Fatu, the United States champion, baby. You're talking about Canada. We're talking about United States.
Oh, dear. Okay, one last thing on the Dominic Mysterio Penta thing, right?
Yes, we have to.
I think if it's not El Grande Americano, great lucha heritage of El Grande Americano, who should be the one to go to AAA and dethrone Alberto Del Rio. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow night.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Great plug.
I think whether Dominic wins or whether Dominic loses, it's going to be by Finn's hand. Because I think you can either have Dominic and Finn fight over the IC title, or have them fight because Finn cost him the title, and both ways works.
Now,
I'm going to go with Penta wins, just to be different.
Okay. Now, here, he could, too. Imagine him taking the IC title. I mean, I don't see Dom losing it right away for his first one, but you never know. He certainly could. And
I don't think Dom's going to have a super long run.
No.
So if you can't be like, oh my God, look how long it is, say, oh my God, look how short it is. I mean, I'm talking about title runs here. It's fine.
I hate bringing this stuff up sometimes because I feel like, I feel like it's a fan thing and not legitimately proven because I've only seen a few things. Meltzer touched on it briefly, but they said they set up the seeds for the Lucha Bros to come back, obviously. They had Penta get pissed off at Gable for mentioning Phoenix losing at Mania, and they went ahead and kind of set it up. So I guess Chad Gable is going to get a partner, and then they're going to have that match supposedly as well at SummerSlam.
See, I don't like that because he's already got a group with a tag team in it. He shouldn't be a tag team. He's leading a tag team. If that's going to be the case, it should be him leading the Creeds into beating the fuck out of Penta, and then Ray comes in.
I was going to say, if only Ray wasn't injured, then they could have had that, 6-man.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
We got time till August. You never know.
Most recently,
I'm not going.
Right? if you look at Cody got thrown into the main event picture relatively quickly.
Yes.
Led to a title. It wasn't instant, but he led to his big WrestleMania 40 moment, getting the belt.
Yes.
Ethan Page joined NXT, came to Heatwave in Canada. I was there, by the way, and won a Fatal 4-Way and got himself belted up pretty quickly. Ricky Starks came over and got into NXT, got himself into a little bit of a schmoz with Sean Spears, got himself a title shot, got a belt relatively quickly.
Question though, that was Trick's belt, right? That Page took, Ethan Page?
Yeah, but it was in the 4-Way.
Yeah, I know he didn't.
It was in the 4-Way with him and Javon and
one other.
It was Sean Spears because initially I remember predicting that the two Canadians were going to get together and it was going to be them versus Trick and Javon in like an exhibition tag type thing,
which we kind of got last night a little bit of.
Little bit, yes. Little tiny bit. Oh my God, Javon Evans like ate the table with his face.
He is just
He's
ever
fucking
impressive,
fantastic.
right? Yeah.
I hate to say it because people here know what I think about Michael Sidgwick, but Michael Sidgwick is absolutely correct. When they debut Javon Evans on the main roster, it has to be in the Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah.
It has to be in the Royal Rumble.
That match was
But
made for that boy.
exactly. I mean, unless they're going to do Ultimate X at WrestleMania, which not Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace
Yes.
had speculated for the past like 3 years.
And pushed.
My point being, they got Cody back, they belted him. They got Punk back, they didn't belt him, but they threw him in some pretty fucking good situations. They got Ethan Page in, they belted him. They got Ricky Starks in, they belted him. They're making a statement. And they're doing
Spaz,
it
they
by...
embarrassed Joe Hendry at WrestleMania.
Oh
He
my
lost so
fucking...
quick that now they have to give him a make good at Battleground. That's all they're doing. They're giving him a make good, okay?
All those people with that bad take are why I want Trick Williams to win the TNA title, because they're going to out themselves
Right?
as not knowing what the fuck a story is.
I guess
But
they
we'll
don't
talk
want to
about
bring
that.
him up just yet. They're going to wait for the draft, so he could essentially win that title.
I think it would be really funny for Trick to win, and then he gets drafted to Raw or SmackDown, and he goes to Raw or SmackDown with the TNA title, because people are going to have to try really hard to paint that as a bad thing. Now,
you would think.
If I tune into SmackDown this Friday and we happen to see the AAA Mega Champion, then I could see there being some complaints. But we're going to touch on that.
We're not going to
touch on that tomorrow.
We'll turn the page on that one tomorrow. I think Fatu is winning here. We got Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight.
Sorry, getting back to my point really quickly as I circle myself around a second time. I think Penta wins the title because I think WWE is setting up the Flair. If you think you're sitting in the background in another company, in tight air quotes, we will bring you over. We will treat you like you deserve.
You're not wrong, and they're showing people, hey, you can trust us.
I can see Rusev getting into the IC picture relatively quickly.
Yeah.
I can see Aleister Black lining himself up for whoever wins the United States Championship that we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
I think...
What about Finn Balor costing Dominic and Penta wins? What if a Grande isn't there or isn't success? Like, there's so many options. That's what I'm enjoying right now, and none of them are as straightforward.
Well, considering that Dominic Mysterio is kind of popular now, if the heel turn is by Finn, and Finn and El Grande Americano have a tag team match against Penta and Dom, newly respectful, Dominic Mysterio can still be like, well, my dad's a dickhead, but I guess some guys in masks are pretty cool.
Yeah, he can be that kind of guy.
And then Carlito can be sitting at ringside and say, you know what, that's cool. Because what does Carlito do?
He just gets his ass kicked and thrown around and speared.
I don't want Carlito to get released.
But he doesn't even wrestle. He just gets
But there's a little bit of me that's like, if you released 15 people, how does he still have a job?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that guy because I don't want to cost the guy a job. But like, Carlito and...
That's how I felt about Reggie.
Carlito and R-Truth have the best jobs in the world.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking. But yeah, I'm sorry. I know you've tried to bring us to this match twice now.
It's
Jacob defending against LA
Knight.
LA Knight and Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre.
Adding Drew to this instantly brought it up to another level. I feel like, because adding Damian is a good call, but it's still, he doesn't, he was just the world heavyweight champion a year ago, but at Mania, but he doesn't feel like a world heavyweight champion. Drew, on the other hand, his work rate speaks for itself. People know he's legit. He's the real deal. Everybody still, loves LA Knight. I originally said that Drew was going to win this because they could screw Fatu out of it. But
I like everybody in this match.
Yeah.
But looking at the three contenders, I don't want any of them to win, if I'm honest. LA Knight, it'll seem like too much of a ping pong because he dropped it to Nakamura, and then got it
yeah.
back, and then he dropped it to somebody else and then got it back.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, I want to see go after Cody. Whether there's a title involved or not, I want Drew Cody to be a thing because they teased it and they dropped it.
Yeah. Well, also,
and they're,
Drew shouldn't be winning anything. Like, he needs to keep losing to keep that downward spiral of
the paranoia going.
Yeah, everybody's screwing me. Yeah.
The one I'm worried about, and I think we've said this for a couple of pay-per-views now, but the one I'm worried about is Damian Priest. Because he had the world title run. He had the great moment at WrestleMania 40, the cash in between Rollins and what's it called? Rollins and Drew, and the match that they had, followed by the Punk involvement, followed by the cash in. Great moment for Judgment Day, great
awesome
moment for
opening.
Damian Priest. And fantastic opening for night 2.
Yeah.
Along with the main event.
Set a high, that Mania really did set a high bar both nights.
Yep.
Rhea
and people
Becky
are like,
too.
"Oh, this year wasn't that good." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was the 40th anniversary. It's gonna shine a little more."
Yeah.
But where was I going with that? Sorry, Damian Priest is the guy that got the world title, tried to carry it. A lot of people they did kind of like a Jey Uso thing. Oh, we're so behind him, and then he wins. Oh, we didn't want him to have that.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve this.
And he's dropped it to Gunther and all this type of thing, right? So there's this thing of, oh, maybe they shouldn't have given it to him in the first place. If you now throw a mid-card title at him, it traps him. It doesn't.
Right?
It traps him. It doesn't help him because you're now confirming that he's not really a main event guy. Drew McIntyre could carry the belt. Drew McIntyre could carry the belt and be the guy to give it to the belt, as opposed to the other way around. Damian Priest, because people have turned on a dime and all of a sudden decided he's a piece of shit, and I don't get it. But
they say the belt doesn't make the man, but you're right. Sometimes it does. I don't get the
both
hate
has
either,
to happen.
But yeah,
both has to happen. Belt makes the man makes the belt. But in this case, the belt making Damian Priest is making him a mid-carder.
Yeah.
To a bunch of people that said, "Oh, he never should have been in the main event." That's the worst thing you can do to him. Drew could do it. I just think there's other things that I'm more interested in Drew doing.
Yeah, having him continually beat
LA Knight, like I say, I'm not against him being a champion, but it just feels like a bit of a ping pong. And Jacob Fatu is a steamroller that shouldn't be losing. And I know in a fatal 4-way, it's like, oh, he can lose it without really losing, but you still lost.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu should be walking in, treating this like a 3-on-1 and killing everybody.
Absolutely.
He has to win.
That was my original, because Drew was off of Impulse, but when you break it down, like I said to you, the only way out is Fatu retaining.
Yeah. As I say, I'm going to double down on this. I wouldn't mind Drew picking it up, but
it's not necessary.
But look at the guy who's carrying it right now.
Yeah.
And
this is his first defense, right?
No,
second.
I think so, yeah. But I think the funny thing about Jacob Fatu is he's always got two stories going on. He's got whoever he's facing and whatever's happening with Solo, and whoever he's facing and whatever's going on with Solo. And with the Tongans, it's like sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So I don't really factor them into anything. I think I read that Tongaloa is just about clear, almost clear, should be clear by June, something like that. Honestly, let Jacob and Solo hash out their thing eventually, and let the Tongans be like, you guys are fucked, we're out, and we're just going to go do tag team stuff.
We're done. See ya. Fuck this.
Like, there's no... It's kind of like, I hate to say this in the wake of all the releases and all that kind of thing, it's kind of like, how long have we been trying to keep the threads together of Damage Control?
Yeah. I heard Damage Control is now officially done.
Yeah.
As a story as well, but...
Which is unfortunate, because technically 3 of them are still with the company.
I guess they're going to have Kairi and Asuka, when they get back, still tagged together, but they're not... They'll just
are they going to do the Sky
Pirates
things, or Kabuki Warriors, or whatever?
Yeah. Terrible name, but they chose it, so whatever. Hey.
Fucking... I think I've said this before, but have you seen Kairi Sane recently? Kairi Sane is jacked.
Yeah, she's ripped.
It's bizarre. Like, I mean, bizarre in a good way. People don't, come for me or anything like that. But, she's known as being, the smaller girl with the cute little pirate gimmick, even when she was a heel. She's jacked now. Good for her.
She looks fantastic. Speaking
honestly,
of...
with no disrespect to Asuka, I would love to see just Kyrie on her own go on a run.
This sounds
Maybe she
terrible, but
goes
I'm like
against Dio
tired of
eventually.
Asuka, and she's not even in there. Like I don't have a drive to see her come back. I know that sounds terrible, but like
Yeah.
I feel like, and there's new people for her to work with, and I bet you they'd have some great
Yep.
matches. But I've never been crazy about Asuka. Like it was kind of always the same thing, and just got very copy paste. She
There
can't
was
cut
there was
promos,
a
and
point with Asuka before they started putting her in groups and groups and groups, and maybe
yeah,
that wasn't necessarily her choice. But when it was just her, when she had just gone like when she just come back to the company and she had like the darker gimmick, and she wasn't like smiley, happy, like let's go do something energetic and whatever. When she came back and she was like the darker version of herself before they made the group.
yeah.
This is going to be a weird comparison. Like we just talked about Jacob Fatu, and he has like a chaotic element that he brings to the ring. There used to be a little bit of that with Asuka until she became absorbed into all these groups. I hope she comes back and finds that again.
I hope so. I
I
want her
am
to find
excited. I am
herself.
excited to see her come back because I do find her to be a really entertaining person.
Yeah.
But go a little bit deeper, go a little bit darker, whatever the case may be. Jacob's retaining, pretty damn sure. So one retention, and in my picks, one title change. I'm going Penta. I'm going Jacob Fatu. Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
Yeah. This is not the given foregone conclusion that I think everybody thinks it's gonna be,
Mm,
where I do think that Gunther's winning, but
yeah.
I wonder how people are
What's it
gonna
building
take that.
to?
It's yeah, what is it building to? It seems like obviously the original storied plan, they did it in Atlanta for Bad Blood, was Gunther interacting with
Goldberg.
yes, and Oldberg would be there for his last retirement match, and maybe he puts over Gunther since he likes
Mm,
him. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Pat is going to get some good offense in here where like hope spots, like he's getting his ass kicked, but he won't
mm,
give up kind of things. Unlike how he was a cocky prick against Adam Cole, I think you're going to get more of that real like desperation from him. Michael Cole will be yelling like, "Come on," that kind of shit. I don't think it's going to be a squash like the IWC is raving it
yeah.
has to be. He's going to kill him, but like at the end, I think and they're not going to make Gunther look weak either. I think they're just going to give Pat some decent spots to go ahead and fucking manage. So
Is there any and I'm talking about like imagine any kind of like ridiculous fuckery you can think of, right?
yeah, I've
Is
come up
there
with about
is
20 of them.
is there any world where Pat McAfee wins this match?
There could be, absolutely, and there's a way to tell another story with it. So you do uh, you steal a win, right? You give a
Yep.
match, and while he's being choked out, he rolls himself back up and pins him on the mat. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So but you show him tapping at the same time. So as he's tapping, Gunther's shoulders go back. The ref
Mm.
counts it. You could do, and then and now we have to get the one more match, and now it's a stipulation match, and that's when he gets killed finally, and out comes after the match. He's getting destroyed, and Goldberg was in back and can't stand this no more. That kind of thing. There's 100 ways you could get there. And I'm sure many more, not on the spot creative people have those type of things. But I don't know. I do feel like Gunther's going to destroy Pat, but it's not going to be
Mm.
an outright squash. And especially because it is a 5-match card. Yes, it could be short, but they're
Mm.
starting this at 7 Eastern. It's about usually 3 hours, be over by 10. Love it. In, out, get done. And
That's what she said.
that's indeed. I'm sticking
I
with
got
it.
two things in my mind here right now, right?
Hit me.
I've got one
Ow.
that would just be super light, disposable, just like a kind of a nice feel good thing. This whole thing is based around Pat McAfee sticking up for his friend, Pat McAfee sticking up for Michael Cole. Um, so is there a moment where Michael Cole, of all people, who actually has the fans on his side and the fans support after like a bazillion years in the company, Michael Cole gets up on the apron, distracts him, fucking Gunther slips on a banana peel, and Pat McAfee gets the win with the assist from Michael Cole. Nice, light. We know it doesn't mean anything for Gunther because we make it very clear that it's a nice, light thing. The other way you
Yeah.
go, the other way you go is, when the underdog makes the match even more dangerous for themselves, like if give me a name, like James Ellsworth walked up to Brock Lesnar and said, you know what,
Yeah.
not only do I want to fight you, I want to fight you with no disqualification, so you've got no excuses, mister. And then you think, this fucker is gonna die. Guess what? Pat McAfee can cut a promo. I'm so pissed off, I don't want to be constrained by rules. How about we do it no disqualification? You can do whatever you want to me, I can do whatever I want to you, right? So Gunther reaches out to his old buddy Ludwig Kaiser, who's still on the roster, who's just doing his own thing right now. He's like, oh, you want no disqualification? Look at the help that I've got. Pat McAfee walks out to the ring with the pyro going with Goldberg in his corner. And you still get Pat McAfee and Gunther having the match. And you get the added comedy bonus of like Ludwig Kaiser eats a spear on the outside or something like that. Yeah. That distracts Gunther. Pat McAfee gets a bullshit win, whatever. But I want to.
There's a lot of.
I'll tell you why this works. There's another stupid thing going around. Like, oh my god, I can't believe they released 15 people, and yet Pat McAfee's having a match. I'm like, he's not taking up a place on the roster.
Yeah,
he's probably gonna die on Saturday.
Exactly.
It's fine. But, you don't need to lie to yourself that much.
But he's a great sports entertainer. He is a wrestler. He's gotten in there. He's delivered good matches. He's competent. It's not like they're throwing in Travis Scott and being like, "Oh, let's see what he can do," and he just busts. Well,
he wants to have a match too, but we don't have to go there right now.
Exactly.
I'm gonna make. I have a bad habit of comparing WWE to Marvel, but when it works, right?
Exactly.
Two things. I just saw Thunderbolts on the weekend. It's awesome. It's got a little bit of the Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it. Of like, these guys aren't squeaky clean Snow White babyface heroes. These guys are a bunch of assholes that are just trying to get something done. And that's way more endearing, and it's why I care way more about the fate of an animated cartoon raccoon in Guardians 3 than I do about Captain America, who's kind of a dick.
Exactly.
Right? Number one. So Pat McAfee's a dick, but his head's in the right place, and he's got the right motivation, right? Second, like I said, we know what his motivation is.
Yes.
Go back to Captain America Civil War. When Tony found out that it was Winter Soldier that killed his parents, and Captain America tried to stop him. Oh my God, you don't understand. You don't understand this. You don't understand that. We can't do this. We can't fall apart like this. You can't do this. It doesn't make any sense. You don't understand. Let me explain it to you. What does Tony Stark say? In like 5 words or less. Doesn't matter. He killed my mom. Pat McAfee needs to have a promo in the back where somebody with a good heart, like somebody like a Rey Mysterio or I don't know who else has a really good heart in WWE like Rey Mysterio. I don't want to lean on Rey Mysterio all the time for all the Sami Zayn.
There you go.
Sami Zayn goes up to him and he says, like, look, I've fought Gunther. You don't know what you're in for. Like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to achieve here. I know you're trying to do what's right. Have Pat McAfee just look at him and be like, Sammy, he hurt my friend. And that's all you need to do.
Exactly.
You need to be Tony Stark. Tony Stark started out in Iron Man 1 as a dickhead. Didn't stop him from saving the world in Endgame, right? This is Pat McAfee, Endgame. And Gunther, fear him, run from him. Gunther is inevitable.
He is inevitable.
I really like how I've come around to that.
You nailed that. I'm hands off the sound effects, but I would absolutely giving you a round of applause.
But yeah, like either it's going to be really sappy and meaningful like that, or it's going to be a comedy thing where Michael Cole costs Gunther a match, and that's a sentence that we're going to say in a couple of days.
I could see it going that way. You kind of sold me on that, so oof.
I'm going with it.
All right.
I am picking Pat McAfee.
Fucking, I'll take that bet. I'll go with Gunther.
Hey, let me just say, I've never seen Gunther in a War Games match.
Very true. And you know what? I actually have to get into the next matches because I'm going on my own little diatribe here. We have Lyra taking on Becky for the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
I think we're going to diatribe about the same thing. Go for
Possibly. So, well, before the Becky Hogan stuff, actually. A bit is I don't want to say I jumped the gun, but I felt like Lyra kind of got swallowed up the week before. This week she did much better. She was much more fierce sounding. She sounded like she actually believed in what she was saying. I feel like the week before, the crowd kind of just consumed her. They even started to cheer for Becky again. And part of that is kayfabe's dead. The crowd just, that they're cheering for the babyface to get murdered one more time. This is awesome is gone. Now it's holy shit. And kayfabe, like I said, is dead.
And you guys get it censored in the States.
Oh, so foolish.
You silly Yanks.
So I felt like Lyra was not being squashed by Becky's booking committee powers, brother, but no, she was getting squashed by her star, her aura, her presence. Fair. And I feel like how they've set this up is that Becky will win. So if Bayley doesn't cost her the match, then Becky will win and her and Bayley will feud for the title. Not only does that make the title feel bigger, which I don't disagree with, I get what they're going for, but all of this I feel like hurts Lyra in the long run. If she loses here, no matter how well if she doesn't retain, I think it's a bit of a problem because she's seen, this is a former idol and everything she was trying to aspire to. And she cut a better promo backstage last week. The one in front of the crowd I wasn't hot on, but this week I felt was much better. And Becky trying to be like, I'm not wrong, just like Paul earlier. It was a bit amusing that, shades of crazy. But I unfortunately...
Paul Heyman's promo was so good.
So excellent. That man is a goddamn treasure.
Okay, here's the funny thing. I wish Paul Heyman was a wrestler.
You and me both, man.
Because he'd talk himself to a title.
I remember when WWE, or no, excuse me, back then, Attitude came out, the video game on PlayStation 1, I want to say it was. Yeah, it had to be 1. I didn't have the 2. So they let you play as Paul Bearer, and he would do a huge 450 splash off the turnbuckle as his finisher, and they called it the Buffet Buster. And for some reason, that always stuck out in my mind is like, so Paul Heyman should take the Buffet Buster.
Nice.
And Moody wouldn't mind. I don't think
he took the shield bomb from the second bloodline.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it's not like he hasn't taken his bumps for his craft.
He was on top of Hell in a Cell, right? Getting his ass beat. Yep. I mean, that man, he's put in for the business. But speaking of the man came to town, and I think Becky's winning, but I don't think Becky's the Becky Hogan that people are lambasting and claiming her to be, honestly. A lot of people think that I would go ahead and immediately shit on her, but when you look at it in a broader picture, she has earned her stripes. She's built her way to her name having that value. There was a reason that Sports Illustrated called her as such, and she was able to be the first women's, main event winner and so on and so forth with all the accolades because she put in the bumps. She got her nose busted by Nia Fat, went ahead and was ready to have the match. Good old Grim reference there.
Fucking just popped me rotten out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Into somewhere.
Grim was there live and filmed Nia coming out, and he called her Nia Fat, and she broke down on Twitter and erupted on him. It was legendary. I wish I still had that video. She went ape shit. She was, how dare you? And all the wrestlers had to join in and start shitting on him. He's like, I'm fat. It's a joke. I call every wrestler a stupid name. No one, which he does, but at least then I haven't watched him in years. He turned into a crazy cuck or something. But still, point being,
one of those crazy guys in the community that I always heard about and never even had the inkling to go check out.
Right?
If I'm totally honest,
he's still doing the backstage stuff, I guess, and doing well with it. So good on him. But or backyard, not backstage. Jesus. Few days no sleep, my friend, but that too. He does it all. He did have an OnlyFans. I'm not exaggerating.
Dear. He's not the one with the banana, is he?
No. So Becky, that's copyright infringement. Becky's not the Hogan here. She only took 2 bumps at Mania. She didn't need to take more. If she needs to put in the work rate, she does it. We talked earlier, WrestleMania 40, her match with Rhea was fucking incredible. I just rewatched it recently, the first time since 40. And
when you consider how wrecked they both were, and they were both in terrible shape.
Yes,
not in terrible shape, in terrible condition.
Yeah, because she was super sick, and then Rhea had those horrible anxiety attacks. The two of them were at that crippling moment, and they were able to come out of it.
They were fighting to make that match happen.
Yes, And in
I mean,
more
it
ways
shows in
than
how
one.
good the match is. But...
Absolutely. And the story they told, and it was so moving in the sense of like
Yep.
the story in the ring. You know, it got me.
Yep.
It stays with me. The finish is incredible. And the reaction, all of it, the entrances. That's my favorite Becky entrance, you know, of all with the quotes from her
Oh, with the
book.
book
And
with all the quotes on it. Yeah.
yeah, and she's got
Pretty cool.
the dress, and I that was great. That's how you do a Mania entrance, like something tailored just to you. And I feel like Lyra's going to get hurt in this, but I think Becky's going to win. But she's not Becky Hogan.
I think we're going to get a situation. I don't know. I'm not sure how we get there, but I think we're getting to a Becky, Lyra, Bailey triple threat. I think we're going to find out that Bailey was planning on turning on Lyra. Becky just got to her first, but now Becky's smashed her, and so she's the victim, even though she was intending to be a bad guy. And I think we get there by Lyra pulls it off this Saturday by the skin of her teeth, gets attacked by by Bailey after the match. Becky tries to jump in and Bailey turns around to her in such a way of like, oh, don't think I forgot what you did to me. So like everybody's got a little bit of motivation. Nobody's a concrete good guy, which I kind of like, except for Lyra. Lyra, going to what you said a second ago, this is the cheesiest thing I'll probably say on this podcast. Lyra, in the past 3 or 4 weeks, has found her voice. I know you weren't high on her promo 2 weeks ago. I saw the beginning of what we saw this week last week because I went into that thinking, oh, she's got a microphone. She's not that strong, whatever. But I saw her and we had this conversation last week on the last pod. She was fighting for it. She was finding her way. She was not backing down. She had some bass in her voice, say it with your chest. With Becky, who's a pro. On one hand, she's holding her own with a pro. On the other hand, she's holding her own with somebody who she's already got comfort with from their matches down in NXT. I think Lyra is like I say, using the cliche, but Lyra's finding herself.
Yeah.
And she's like speed running through the process of finding herself. And I think she's doing not to say that you're putting her down, but I think she's doing better than most people are giving her credit for.
So here's the thing. Initially, I was a little bit against it, but then, like I said, so the first promo she had didn't grab me, but the one she cut backstage was so much better. I wish they went with that instead of but her voice got better. The way I envisioned this and how they booked it, and Becky had a great line on the Raw after podcast thing they have now where she was like, oh, Mercedes, has her text line. You've heard about that. So she's like, oh,
yes.
Bailey's so confused. She has to pay $100 just to talk to her best friend. Like, that's a great line. That's
it is
so good. And,
it is.
Becky has those clips. She's good on the mic. The garbage, she said the word garbage, I think 32 times.
The recycling. You're not quite garbage. You're recycling.
That was a great line, though. That was such an amazing
But it set
insult.
up Lyra as well. Like who should be talking about recycling? You've been doing the same shtick for 5 years. And it's like, yes, it's true. She has because she's good at it and it works for her.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It was still a good line for Lyra. Now, you've opened the door for my frustration. Okay. I don't mind shitting on somebody I don't like for saying something that I don't like, right? What sucks is when I have to shit on somebody I do like that I half agree with.
Yeah.
And that's Becky. Right here, right now. Through the worst points of the Becky Hogan accusations or whatever, I will always stand up for Becky. She's a fucking star. Her and Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, whatever you think of the other two, made history at WrestleMania. They deserve to be the ones to make history at WrestleMania. Woo. Becky Lynch has done everything. She went back and did the run in NXT that helped Lyra and Tiffany most of all, but like how many other people did she work with when she was down there at the time?
It saved NXT and pulled us out of really the 2.0 bullshit.
It did. It did, but it also tried to keep it afloat while we were in that bullshit as well.
True. I mean, it was a double-edged sword.
Here is my problem. And this is a very much, this is one of those times where I'm very genuinely going to say, guys, this isn't me and Jake. This is me going on my own tirade in case Jake doesn't want to be sucked into it.
I can't co-sign off until I hear what you say yet. Let's go for it.
I have a problem with people that do advocacy shit.
Yeah.
Right? For any real life issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, feminists, okay, yes, the gender should be equal. No, I'm not going to co-sign on you wanting to chop off men's cocks. Cultural issues, yes, we should all be equal. No, I don't want you to burn down my house.
Yeah, feminazis be damned. I got you.
All those types of things. But the problem with all of those movements, right? The oh so peaceful riots that we had back in 2020 and whatever. Every single one of them starts out with a cause that I could be completely behind if you didn't go 2 steps too far.
That goes for a lot of things, actually.
Becky Lynch on that backstage interview, and I haven't listened to it. I've read the transcript of it type thing.
Yeah.
Where she goes in on the Becky Hogan thing, which is ridiculous because we've heard Rhea Hogan, Liv Hogan, blah, blah, blah. Anytime somebody you don't like wins, they're a Hogan. We get it. Why would you compare me to this asshole? First of all, side note, they're comparing you to one of the people that literally built the industry. It's not the insult they think it is. But, like, she's not. She doesn't politic. She hasn't been around to politic, first of all. Second of all, she makes everybody around her look great. And nobody's really asking her to take a step aside other than in storyline, right?
Yeah.
I think anybody that does act like, oh my God, I'm so sick of Becky, it's like, cool, she's been back 3 weeks. Right?
Exactly.
But then, this is where you lose me. I'm sorry. Like I say, Becky's awesome, and she's on the cusp of a great point until she says, why are they asking me to step aside? They don't do that with the guys.
Yeah, okay, so I see your point there. I thought that's where you were going with it, but...
Here's the thing. How many people... Okay, up until very, very, very recently, where he's found a little bit of favor with the fans, how many people were saying that about Randy Orton?
Yeah.
How many people are saying that about John Cena, even though we know it's his last year?
We just found Cena not guilty of burying talent. Yeah. He just buries mediocrity.
But even over on the other side, and I know he rubs a bunch of people the wrong way, but like, how many people are telling Jericho to quit? I'm mixed on the issue because he is actually retired now, but how many people were looking at Sting and being like, oh my God, why would they waste their time on Sting?
Well, look at Bryan now. He's in crippling pain. His neck is fucked. And he's like, I can't, there was the worst 6 months of my life. Like, yeah, it was great moments, but the most
you're not going to be the one to walk up to Daniel Bryan and say, hey man, I think it's time you step aside.
Exactly.
Like, we're not in a position to do that, right?
No.
Where Becky was going with
neck.
this is like,
I can only imagine how he feels.
Where Becky was going with that, with the whole, I'm not a Hogan. This is how you build a star. I've helped literally everybody I've touched. Nobody should be telling anybody to step aside. She had a great message, and then you had to throw in the identity politics. It's like, this only happens to women. Fuck off. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I do like Becky, and I do respect Becky, which is why it pisses me off twice as much, because the people that have as much of my respect as somebody like a Becky Lynch has, I'm sorry, I expect more from you.
Yeah, I get what you're going for. It didn't hit me that way when I heard it, but it all right. I hate the word triggered. Though. That's if you come up with a better word, like when something triggers you, when it gets under your skin, I can see why that would bother you.
But it's
for me, it didn't
true.
hit me that way. But that's the thing. It's just I think that's the underlying issue. It's not even the gender politics. It's the fakeness of it, the virtue signaling.
I said it before, right? And I'm talking about people that don't even wrestle anymore. So they're not taking up a spot. But look at how much people complain if Triple H just steps out onto stage for a second to make an announcement, or if Shawn Michaels is in a backstage segment, like putting over one of the young talents, or God forbid, Undertaker's walking around backstage and shakes somebody's hand. Like, all they have to do is breathe on camera. Why the fuck are you here? Are people saying it about Becky? Yes. And they're shitty, scummy people. And I would be on your side if you didn't cross the line and try to make it a us versus them thing. If you didn't cross the line and literally lie because you thought your point needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this to shit on Becky.
No.
I'm hoping it was somewhat in character. I'm hoping it was like it's the Raw recap thing. So I'm assuming it's like quasi kayfabe.
That's the thing, because it's not
But I'm
full
like,
kayfabe anymore. It's this
yeah,
like
it's this weird
that's
middle
the
ground.
character I'm playing, and this is me, so I can say these things. But then they should do like promos.
But it's not a
and
character
stuff,
thing
so-
because she's not going to go sit. But like, how can I say this? She's not going to go have a match with a dude. We can only do that on WWE 2K right now. They're not doing that on TV right now. So like, it doesn't serve. You can't say in the back, like maybe she goes back and rethinks it or clarifies it or whatever. And I'm all for that. I've got an open ear for it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't use the excuse of it's kayfabe. It's like, who are you kayfabing against? You're kayfabing against Lyra, who's your fellow female roster member. So why are you taking a stray shot at the guys? And it is a shot. Like saying that you experience something is a call to action. Saying you're the only person to experience something is a call to me telling you to fuck off.
Yeah.
It's like I in the sense of like real life, you know, gender, race, ethnicity, language, religion, all those issues, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about your struggle.
Exactly.
Don't tell me you're the only one that struggles. It's a big difference.
Big time.
And like I say, it's a piss off to me because it's 10 times as disappointing. Like we used to say, like if there's a bad AEW, whatever. If there's a bad NXT, we're gonna rant because we hold them to a higher standard.
You expect
and
more.
I hope person to person, I expect more as well.
Absolutely.
And I think that.
Anyways, speaking of expecting more, and that was a hell of a rant you took me on there, my friend. Kudos for that. I'm giving you credit. You're giving my ears some love tonight because my brain's pudding. But
that's
speaking of pudding,
I'm in your ear.
Undisputed WWE Championship match. The champion John Cena, in his heel form, you know, he's the real peacemaker, going up against Randall Keith Orton.
I mean, let's get it out of the way. John Cena's not losing.
This is I got to make the Banana Club foregone conclusion shirts already. People want them. This is the foregone conclusion of the night. You know Cena's not losing. I just want to know how they get there. So a lot of people are thinking that the DQ is going to happen.
Sorry, for the last match, after I took us on a big rant, you're taking Becky?
Yes, I am taking Becky.
I'm taking Lyra squeaking through.
I like you and I being on opposite paths this time. It's going to be an interesting talk on Sunday.
I'm betting on Lyra and I'm betting on Pat.
Yeah,
I am going to lose.
You don't know. I mean, Pat maybe, but like you said, what if Michael? There's so many ways, and that's the thing with this. Like people are saying, oh, Randy Orton is going to lose, but then kill John to get the pop. So I think that could work because the original thing was they were going to do the turn on the angle they had. I forget which pay-per-view it was. They faced each other so many times. But these guys are probably going to do the same thing where they go and he and Cena will smack the ref, get the DQ, and now Orton loses. You know, he wins the match, but he doesn't win the title. And that's when Orton snaps, hits him with an RKO twice. And then
I do like the people that are out there saying the for whatever the story is, it's almost like it doesn't matter what the story is. The bottom line is heel John Cena is facing babyface Randy Orton.
Yeah.
You gotta believe backstage these guys are patting each other on the shoulder like, one more time? All right, one more time.
Are you sure? Yes. All right.
Yeah. It's like after CM Punk came back to WWE, when they did the WWE behind the scenes, like wrestlers react to their former matches and whatever.
Yes.
And it was CM Punk and Randy Orton reacting to their reacting to their, I think it was WrestleMania 27 match. And it's the one I use as a certain flagpole when I'm talking about WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because it's where I sort of coined the term the match for match's sake match. It's the match with no stipulations. It's the match with no weird match type. It's the match with no title involved. Yeah. It's just a match because these two guys are having a match. Randy Orton, CM Punk is always the example I use. But if you watch those guys,
there wasn't a ton of story with it either.
Yeah, well, he was still doing
Straight Edge.
The second. No, he was doing the second version of the Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Wade Barrett and the other ones went to
Yep.
SmackDown and
I
made the
forgot about the
core with
timeline.
2 R's?
Yes, the core.
But no, if you see those guys talking now, it's like, yeah, we couldn't stand each other back then, but hey, look at us now.
And it all
I have to
started because
believe
he hit him with the GTS, and he actually caught him. And then
yeah.
he was bitching to Arn about him after he said it was fine. So then they
And I think
started
like
fighting.
after, when they were done watching the match, I think they called it like a sit-down therapy session or whatever, and it's all good, big hugs and all that kind of thing. I have to imagine, but like I have to imagine, like, you know, every now and then I say like I want good things for the wrestlers.
Yeah,
the show can be secondary sometimes. It's why I use the Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella match as an example. Was that a good match? No. But
and
like
Miz and Maurice should have won that because they were already getting the proposal. They didn't need the win in the proposal.
Exactly. But my point being is that's a match where 2 guys that probably get along really well got to get in the ring with their significant others at the time and have a fun match that nobody really took seriously. Everybody was kind of having a good time, right? And you want to have those guys to be able to have those kind of moments, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I have to imagine with all the history that they have that John Cena, Randy Orton in the back getting ready for this match is like, all right, we're getting too old for this shit. Let's go.
Basically, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't even really know what to say. Like, Randy Orton's twice the size of John Cena now.
I don't see Randy Orton getting beat clean. I don't see that happening. It's either a low blow and he gets his jewels kicked in and then the AA kind of thing, or John uses the belt. Like there has to it's not either going to be that but I really think everybody seems to think Patrick's drilled it in my head. They're going for that slap awesome? DQ angle, and then he'll just kill him.
Awesome because sometimes it's okay to piss people off. Everybody's complaint at WrestleMania, and it's valid, is when the Fiend music came on and everybody thought, well, it's going to turn into The Rock's music eventually. Like so everybody cheered thinking it was going to be The Rock, and then it was Travis Scott.
Yeah.
What I want to hear in the middle of this match, like, play The Rock's actual music.
Yeah.
And still have Travis Scott
walk out. When they did something like similar to that at one point that was like, oh my God. Like I know they did the famous one with like Sean where he was in Canada and he hits Brett's music and Brett was really pissed about that one, but
well, WWE owns the music. They can do whatever they want with it. I mean, they didn't go actually they did with midgets. But I was about to say they didn't do a fake Razor, fake Diesel thing with them, but they had a Bret Hart midget. So
they did, yeah.
They remember when he put the midget in the sharpshooter?
Yes. Sadly, I do.
Anyways,
like I said, no matter how we get there, it'll be fun, I think. This is going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be fun. Like, is it bad to say that I don't care if this match is any good? Because it doesn't matter, really.
Sorry, like in the best way. No, not at all. That's the best way possible. You nailed it. This is what we need.
In the best way that something cannot matter, it doesn't matter.
This is not going to be their Tony Khan 60-minute time limit draw. Oh my God, 1,000 kickouts and 500 finishers. This is going to be.
Well, I mean, it's going to get docked points because there's no plastic bags and syringes. Let's be real for a second.
Well, obviously, and no cinder blocks. So now all we're missing is the final countdown.
Because of the new news in WWE recently, random run-in by Vikingo.
No.
For reasons.
Oh my God! By Del Rio.
No. Hear me out for a second. Out comes Teddy Long after the interference. Time for a tag team match. Playa. Randy Orton, and Vikingo versus
going one-on-one with the Undertaker.
No, versus John Cena and El Grande Americano.
Oh, there we go. Throw in the Grande. That I like.
Oh my God.
And Travis Scott. Fucking bring them all. You know who I would like to see join them? JD McDonough. JD McDonough, I think would be John Cena and his current heel stable of Travis Scott. If they were to actually do like a stable with it, like if The Rock had stayed, out of all the people on the roster.
Why JD McDonough?
I think he could have benefited the most from it.
Oh, okay.
I think that under their tutelage and the way, because he has one of the most, I know they hate the word moveset, but he has
tutelage.
Yes. And he has one of the most impressive movesets. Him and Austin Theory pull out shit that you don't see regularly. And they just do it in a match. And they're like, here you go. And they always make everyone look amazing. And he got a lot of praise for finishing the match, doing the moonsault still with one freaking lung. People say,
I love the
like,
fact that they're calling him
badass.
the Iron Lung JD McDonough.
Yeah, that's so now they cashed in on that. So imagine, he got in this with I could have been like just a shit theory,
Just
but
make it a Hollywood faction, right? Like The Rock, Travis Scott, John Cena, Batista, Hollywood Hogan.
There was ways to make it work, and that's what sucked, because if The Rock didn't get involved,
and here's my brother Cena John.
Well, but Backlash is going to be great.
JD McDonough needs to get a bigger shine on him. And I will always say, yes, it was instigated by Shawn Michaels, King of the Ladder match. The ladder match that he had with Santos Escobar for the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Championship still holds up.
Absolutely.
Anyways, it's been a lot of fun. I think I've kept you here way longer than I meant to. I think you've got some other stuff to get done tonight.
Yeah, Mr. we're going live shortly, so people would have already missed it, but they can go ahead and catch us live this weekend, because I'll be live after Backlash on YouTube and Rumble. Nice. So you can go ahead and find me. Yeah, Jake DeMarco or Countdown Ended. You can go ahead and search for either. We'll have our Backlash coverage, and make sure you go ahead and check out our series Guilty or Guilt-Free, where Cody Onidi joins me as we break down the sins of different wrestlers and their booking past. You can also find me on Twitter at Countdown Ended, and on Instagram the same. So you can hit me up on either. Send me all your sexy feet pics, baby.
Dirty. And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. I'm kind of grossed out now. He's been Jake. This has been a preview for Backlash and Northern Rising. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Sexy Jake are tagging out. Bye, guys.
Now.